Hello, let's hit this. Oh, whoa, I think I spoke too loudly. Okay, anyway, just always like to have a bit of excitement, right? It's a good way to start. Okay, so we've got squaring both sides. There's going to be a bit of a quicker one, actually, with two examples. So let's dive straight into it this time. We've got square root of x squared, x plus 6 at least, minus x equals 0. This but example one that's on the screen. Now, like it doesn't look like something I've had before. Everything we've done at some stage has had an x squared. It's like, come on, give us an x squared. So before we get into tackling that one, let's just look at some other ones that are maybe similar. What happens, I've asked you, the square root of x equals 3. What's the value of x? You'd be like, oh, well, that's cool. The square root of what gives me 3? Well, x clearly is 9. So let's unpack what we did there. Well, it's like we saw the square root, so we decided let's square both sides of our equation. Okay, so what happens if something were a bit more complicated? We're like, okay, well, the square root of x minus 16 equals 0. So what is the value of x such that the square root of it minus 16 is 0? Well, you might be tempted to think 4, because, square root of 16, let's keep our wits about us. Let's turn it into this one that we had before. Square root of x equals, okay, well, if we plus 16 on each side, and I know this feels like, oh, we always had equals 0, but in this case, let's do this, so equals 16. Okay, well, the square root of what gives us 16? Oh, now we really need to think, oh, well, x equals 16 squared, so x equals, and we get our beloved calculator out, and we're like, okay, well, 16 squared, 256. Okay, so that sounds reasonable, 256. So the square root, no, but let's check it. 256, take the square root of it, that's 16. And subtract 16, we get 0. Okay, so it seems to work. So let's see what happens if we apply that over here. But quickly, just quick pause. Okay, I think that pause is kind of a useful way just to get your breath back, Okay, so let's rearrange this so that we add x on each side so that we've just got the square root part, the radical. It's a lovely name, isn't it? Just got this radical on the one side. So we got x plus 6, the third at least, equals x. And in this case, when we had the square root, we squared both sides. And it's going to make our lives interesting soon enough. So we square that, and it's just what was under the square root, equals, we square the side, x squared. Oh, isn't that like a sense of relief? You go, there we go, there are x squareds. That's what I like to get. Don't you get that feeling? You're like, I know how to solve this now. Well, hopefully, but anyway, now, okay, well, let's rearrange this equation so that one of the sides equals 0. So we're going to need to subtract x from each side, and we're going to have to subtract 6 from each side. So we've got minus x minus 6. So 0 equals, once we got this equals 0, we factorize, and let's move out the way. And we're like, okay, cool, well, I can factorize that, right? Can you factorize it? Yeah, hopefully. So this is one of these 3 and 2 ones, minus 3 plus 2. Let's just check it quickly. X times 2, that's 2x. Minus 3 times x, minus 3x. Add those together, you get minus x, which is what we had. Cool. Just nice to double check ourselves. So we've got our two solutions. X equals 3 or x equals negative 2. Now, when we had a square root, it's like, oh, suddenly we got two answers. Should we have two? Maybe there's only one. When we'd had fractions, we started having to check things. So let's do a check. And you need to. This isn't just put it back in for fun. We do need to check. So the square root of x plus 6, so we're going to start with this one. Well, that's equal to the square root of 9. That equals 3. Cool, that seems good. This is the left-hand side, right? This is the left-hand side of the equation. And what about on this side? Well, on the right hand side we just had x, and x is 3, and we got 3. Thumbs up, right? All looking good. Now let's check out the other one. Let's go in, no, what color? Which I got to ask you, which color? Okay, so let's try x equals minus 2. So now our left hand side is the square root of x plus 6. So here we are from this line here, I'm checking x plus 6, x is minus 2, plus 6 equals the square root minus 2 plus 6, 4 gives us 2. Now, does that equal the right hand side? Does it equal the right hand side? Well, wait, the right hand side is x, and x was minus 2. So the right hand side's minus 2. So no, those two are definitely not equal. 2 is not equal to minus 2. So what we can do is say, let's cross that one out. Looked like a solution, but it wasn't. So we need to check our answers at the end. Cool, let's run through one more. 2 square root x minus 3 plus 3 equals x. What do you think our starting strategy is going to be? Well, with a bit of luck, you're like, well, let's make it look like some of the previous ones we've done. So minus 3, so we got square root of x minus 3 times by 2 equals x minus 3. Okay, let's go one step further, or, we want to get rid of the squares, so let's square both sides. Now we have two options. I'm going to go with this first option because I think it's simpler. I'm going to say, let's take that and square it, and let's take that and square it. Okay, so the x minus 3 part is definitely x minus 3. What do we need to multiply it by? Well, 4, because this needs to be squared and that needs to be squared. Equals x minus 3 squared. How do we square a binomial? Well, a few ways, but I think kind of the easy way for now is just, well, to square something is to multiply it by itself. Once it's like that, we know that we're going to do that foil and rainbow, and really we're going to multiply every term in this bracket by every term in this bracket. Okay, well, there we go. From there, we're easy to go, right? You're like, okay, 4x minus 12 equals x squared minus 6x plus 9. And you're like, oh, what do you do? Quadratic, I know what to do. And we've got x squared. We want to have that 0. So what do we need to do? Well, we need to subtract that 4x. So we had minus 6x minus 4x minus 10x. Okay, this 12, we need to add it to that side so we get to 0. So we add it over here. And you're like, oh, okay, well, that's cool. That's plus 21. 21 factors are just coming. It's definitely not 21 and 1. So what are the two factors of 21 that are going to work for our factorization? Just for me, as I wrote 21, I thought 7 and 3 just jumps out at me. But perhaps not you. Or perhaps you. X. So we got 7 and 3 minus, let's just check, minus 3x, minus 7x, minus 10x. Yeah, it's working. So x equals 7, or x equals 3. Okay, what do we need to do as our last step? Well, yeah, we need to check it. So I'm going to do the check over here so we can see everything at the same time. Now, you can check it right at the beginning here, or you can check just before you did the squaring. I think it's best to do it just before the squaring, or not best, but it's just a bit easier. So in other words, let's do it at this place. So we're saying that 2x minus 3 square rooted is x minus 3. And let's substitute in there. So our first option was 7. So we're doing a check. Let's tell us what we're doing. So if x equals 7, 2 times square root of 7 minus 3. 7 minus 3, 4. Square root of 4, 2. 2 times 2, 4. On the right hand side, x minus 3 is 7 minus 3. 4. 4 equals 4. Sweetness, it's working. Let's try x equals 3. Let's go for a yellow. 2 square root of, what do we say? 3. 3 minus 3. Is that equal? So let's just leave it. Is that going to be the same as 3 minus 3? Well, let's have a look. 3 minus 3, 0. Square root of 0, 0. 2 times 0, 0. 3 minus 3, 0. Does 0 equal 0? Yes, it does. Cool. So things look like they worked out quite nicely, right? Both of those were valid solutions. So we're like, cool. We can put it. I'm just going to give myself a tick here. You don't have to write tick, but we're not crossing any of them out. That's that. Wasn't too bad, right? And some few for you to practice. Enjoy.